Is it just me? Okay.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا ليعذب الله المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات ويتوب الله على المؤمنين والمؤمنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome you to this week's edition of All You Will Believe. My name is Mariam Akiemi and I will be the anchor for today. Please invite your friends and loved ones to join. Share the link. The Corridor Asana campaign is still on. You can grant us 25k or form a group to raise the loan with smaller contributions per head. For more details, please contact the President, Honorable Abdul Jalil, or Professor Badari or Imam Tajuddin Salami. This is to appreciate your wonderful contributions towards the success of Maracas Sports Day held last weekend. This is also to remind you of the quarterly general meeting of MANUK scheduled for 4 p.m. this Sunday at the temporary mosque. Look out for a free training on how to make use of your mobile phone for health and well-being. It's part of the Know Your Portion project. We still need volunteers to help with mosque collections. Please contact Alhaji Abdurrahman Amode. We have an upcoming bazaar and fundraiser. Details shall be provided soon. Please remember to sign the gift aid form to allow the association benefit maximally from your donation. And please do not forget to enroll your kids at Maracas MANUK while the slots are still available. Now it's time for the Quran recitation segment. Is Sister Mariam Adebite around, please? Okay. Otherwise, Ismail Akiemi, please read.
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبح لله ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم له ملك السماوات والأرض يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم هو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام ثم استوى على الأرض
What happened? Mariam?
Well, I think the reciter just disappeared. Somebody's raising their hand. Mariam is raising her hands.
Attended to.
I believe we're having some technical glitch.
I'm sorry, there was some glitch in the video. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام ثم استوى على العرش يعلم ما يلج في الأرض وما يخرج منها وما ينزل من السماء وما يعرج فيها وهو معكم أينما كنتم والله بما تعملون بصير له ملك السماوات والأرض وإلى الله ترجع الأمور يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل وهو عليم بذات الصدور آمنوا بالله ورسوله وأنفقوا مما جعلكم مستخلفين فيه فالذين آمنوا منكم وأنفقوا لهم أجر كبير صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah Khan Ismail for the recitation. I'll now pass to the moderator for today, Brother Shams. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Thank you very much, Sister Mariam, for starting us off today on yet another Oh You Will Believe. I want to welcome you all. And barakallahu fi to our brother for the Quran recitation. Despite the glitch, he was not kind of put off. Barakallahu fi. May Allah accept your recitation. Bless your parents, your teachers, and all those who lend you support in your studies. May Allah bless them and you with the reward of the Quran lover. May the Quran be your companion in this world and in the next. Barakallahu fiqh. So are there viewers, brothers and sisters, welcome to another You Will Believe, where we are trying our best to bring our deen to our lives, make our life better. We are trying to make our deen purposeful. We are trying to make we are preparing for our akhirah, such that on the day of judgment, inshallah, some of the efforts we put into all this will count in our favor and will lead us into Jannah. And never regard the time you spend on attending this program with your brothers, although virtually, and your sisters. Never regard it as a waste of time. It is still counted as part of the sitting of Iman, sitting of believers, where we are looking at our religion and learning, and the angels are sitting around us and they are blessing us. So today we have a special guest speaker, our brother Abdul Fattah Kokwola. Is a pharmacist, a superintendent pharmacist, and I believe he's going to talk to us today on staying well on your summer holidays. We are in the summer season. Some people will be traveling. Some might not be traveling, but they might be staycating, having their holidays within the UK. Wherever you are, the sun is bright, and we will be going out a lot. So how do you stay safe and keep well? Our brother will spend the next 20-25 minutes talking to us about how to stay safe. Protecting our health, our well-being is one of the important principles of the Sharia, purpose of the Sharia. Sharia has come to protect our lives and our well-being. And therefore, this topic might seem secular, but it's actually part of our deen, staying safe, keeping well. So I'm going to hand over to our brother, Brother Abdul Fattah Pokwala, to lead us in this presentation for the next 20-25 minutes. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm experiencing some technical glitch, so which is why I can't share my video. I'll try and see if I can share my slide. So yeah, that's just the introduction. So yeah, you're all welcome to this presentation. It's a pleasure and honor to be invited to speak here and to share some of my experience and expertise in this area. It's always a passion to try and share and help promote well-being in our community, because obviously, if you're not well, you won't be able to, practice your religion as the way we should practice, and it will always obviously has an um, uh, encompassing effect on us generally. So for those that are obviously, the summer is usually very short within the UK. We usually is between from May up until September, October, when we begin to go back to the cold season, which we are used to. So so everyone is always excited during the summer break, obviously because the sun is out. Everybody goes out, try and enjoy themselves, but obviously there's always a limit. For those who are going to be staycating within the UK, one of the most common issues that we have is hay fever. And I'm sure those who suffer from that know what to do. But generally, the most important thing is to use your antihistamine medication. Obviously, you can always go to any pharmacy close by you and get some. Also, obviously, we are black. A lot of us take that for granted, stay under the sun. Obviously there's still high risk of maybe skin problems, skin photosensitivity, sunburns, and possible cancer if you expose yourself unnecessarily. So it's quite important that you protect your skin adequately, and that's where things like the skin lotion becomes adequate. For those who are going to be traveling, some of us, we like to go back home, which is Nigeria, for those who are from Nigeria. But because you live here, so going back to Nigeria, you're more like a visitor there. So you don't want to. Most people just take it for granted that, oh, I'm going back home. I'm going back home. They don't bother to do what they need to do in terms of protecting themselves, i.e., by vaccination or by taking medication. But that's just some travel health facts that in 100,000 travelers that travel to the developing world, at least 50% of them might develop health problems, and 8% would see a physician while at their destination. Some people get unfortunate, about 5% might end up being bedridden, confined to the bed. 1.1% may become incapacitated due to possible bites or falls or accidents while being there. 0.3% will be hospitalized, and 0.05% are maybe evacuated to a safer area, like bringing the person to Europe for treatment. And they say 1 in 1 million might end up dying. Mashallah, obviously, Allah protects us. We always pray for, for us to for Allah's protection, but at the same time, we have to also protect ourselves. If you move on to the next slide, please. In terms of key health concerns when you do travel, One of the key things we most people encounter is diarrhea. And obviously, one of the key reasons for that is you're going to a different country. Now, obviously, if you go to somewhere like Nigeria, which is maybe like your second home, the water there is different, the food, the way they cook, and hygiene generally is different. So most people are prone to get diarrhea. Obviously, the weather there is quite humid, it's quite hot, so food gets spoiled very quickly compared to when you're here in the UK where it's much cooler. So you have to be quite careful in terms of, the kind of food you eat and where you eat and the water you drink. Other issues is things like acute respiratory infection, and this is more common with those who are asthmatic or who are immunocompromised. So it's always important that if you fall under this category, you make sure your vaccination in terms of your COVID and your flu vaccination are all up to date. In terms of skin infection, and so obviously being in a different place, the place might be too humid, you're sleeping in a different bed, different conditions, your skin might react to the washing powder they use and stuff like that. You might develop rash, the scratch, and then that leads to skin infection. So that's one of the another problem encountered. But I think a particularly important one is malaria in South African continent. Obviously, this is the raining season. It's a breeding ground for mosquitoes, so it's quite prevalent during this period. So you have to make sure you protect yourself when going in terms of prevention of bites. So getting things like mosquito nets, if you can do that, or get insect repellents and taking your anti-malaria tablets. Obviously, within the UK, at the moment, most surgeries don't prescribe anti-malarials routinely as they consider it to be a luxury. So basically, you have to try and find a way of getting anti-malaria. You can come to pharmacies, some with clinic, who are trained and have a prescriber like ourselves. We can prescribe anti-malaria, which will be safe for you. Other things like the typhoid fever, cholera, there are vaccinations against this. Yellow fever, hepatitis, tuberculosis, risk of, for those who are quite obese or the over 60s, there's risk of venous thrombosis if you're flying. So it'd be advisable to wear something like a flight socks. And well, like I mentioned earlier, with the weather, it's a lot of things like insect bites. And it's always also good if you have a long-term condition, you're concerned about that. How do you handle taking your medications when you're going there? What happens to you if, in case you have a relapse, in case you have maybe like asthma or COPD? How are you going to handle the situation? So those are things you have to prepare your mind towards before you decide to fly. If you put on the next slide, please. So I've kind of touched on some of the preventive measures, as I mentioned, the key issues. But obviously, one of the key advices before you go, if you're going to be traveling anywhere, as a traveler, you need to check for the potential hazards that's at the destination, and also the health protection advice, and which is why it's advisable before you travel to come to a travel clinic. So most pharmacies now offer travel clinics, and also you can go to your GP surgery where they would you see the nurse who would advise you on the things you should get. For in terms of global travel advice, um, you can access the Fit for Travel website. I don't know if you could help just click on the link so that people can see the kind of information that is available there. So if you're traveling to any part of the world, you can just put in, go to this website, and then it would, you could type in the destination, and it will give you an idea of the key health risk within the area and the kind of measures you need to take. So in terms of someone like Nigeria, for instance, if you click on Nigeria there, it will show you the vaccination that you require, the kind of anti-malaria that you need, it will all be there. After down the thoughts. If it doesn't go through, we can go back on the slide. Yeah, but obviously we do advise that for if you're not going to be traveling, try and go to the travel clinic at least 4 to 8 weeks before you travel. But obviously, for those who do the last minute .com, you can always go come into a travel clinic like ours, and we'll try and see what we can do to ensure that you have the necessary covers that you require. Um, if you go back this slide, go back the previous slide, please. So I think one of the key things that I was going to emphasize on that slide was really just the vaccinations that you require. If you go back, if you go on the next line after the one you clicked on, that would take you straight to, well, no, go back. Yeah, you just click on that. So this one is the travel, if you're traveling abroad, the Gov website, this is the one that would come up. So this just lists all the health risk and the terrorism risk that is, one might be exposed to and the destination of where you're going to. Okay, so I'll probably speak about more about the anti-malarials. If you come to our clinic and you're going to somewhere like Nigeria, there are usually three main anti-malaria that is recommended, which is the first is the Malaron, which you take one every day, and that you can start 1 or 2 days before you travel. You take one every day while you're there, and then when you come back for another 7 days. Um, that one is for mainly people that do last minute because then you can just take it a day before you travel and you'll be covered. And then there's the weekly tablet. It's called the Lariam, which you take one every week. You're supposed to start that 10 days before you travel. You take that weekly while you're there, and then when you come back for another 4 weeks. That's the easiest, or in my opinion, to use because then it's just a once a week tablet. You don't need to remember to take tablets every day, especially if you have children. Trying to get them to take medication every day might be a bit tricky. But everyone's situation is different, which is why if you come to the travel clinic, we can assess and know what is best for you. And some people also take the daily doxycycline, which is the cheapest option really. But obviously, one of the key issues with that doxycycline is it might cause photosensitivity. You're going to a hot country under the sun, so that's kind of why, as a clinician, I try not to prescribe that unless that's what the patient really wants. Obviously, other things we can look at if we can go to the self-care measures. Now, that's fine. I'll just focus on this for now. Um, Obviously, in Nigeria, one of the things you need to look out for, obviously, make sure your yellow fever is all up to date, in terms of vaccination. And then if hepatitis A and hepatitis B, make sure they're all up to date. You can confirm that information with your practice nurse or with the surgery. They will have all that information. But obviously, if you come to the farms, we can also help you check with them if you're due, because everything has a period when they lapse. So some vaccination only lasts for 5 years, some last for 10 years. So we kind of need to help you check that. In terms of other things to take apart from the vaccination and the anti-malaria, it's always best you also take along antihistamines, and that comes in handy if you have any rash, if you have any allergies while you're there, if you've eaten something that kind of cause you to have a rash, any sneezing, running nose, things like that, you can take that. Also use things like anti-sun cream, which is good for insect bites or your mosquito bites. Some people get something called citronella, which helps to act as insect repellents. That's a cheaper option. But obviously, there are other jungle formula which helps with preventing mosquito from biting if you rub them on yourself. Most importantly, also try and make sure you take some oral rehydration salts, so something like Diarrhea, medications to help with diarrhea if you do get it. So something like Imodium, loperamide. Some people, because of a change of environment, they experience constipation. It takes time for them to, the change of the diet and everything. It's difficult for them to go to toilet for the first few days. You might want to get something like Senna just to help you, something mild. Some people experience motion sickness, or you're traveling either on the flights or when you're driving in the car, then you can get something like anti-sickness tablets like Wells. Mostly you can also get things like paracetamol, ibuprofen to help with pain if you do get it. And also, one thing I would also like to advise people on is travel insurance. I know our culture doesn't really I won't say promote, but in terms of it's not normal, it's not a norm for us to want to take that as part of the package, if you get what I mean, because we believe God will protect us and all that. But you never know what's going to happen. So it's always best if you're traveling, you're in good health. I'm sure your travel insurance wouldn't cost that much. And this is just in case if anything happens, country to you, Nigeria, they can easily fly you down. At least the travel insurance will cover you for all that. Okay, so that's something I would also try and promote for people to try and do. And promote the next slide. Now, for our elderlies or for people with long-term conditions, and when I say long-term condition, I mean people that have things like hypertension, diabetes, um, COPD, or mental health issues. If they're on certain medication, and they fall ill while on holiday, it's important for them during that period. When I mean fall ill, like they're not eating, they are vomiting, they're having diarrhea, and taking these medications I've listed here, that will cost them more harm than good. So we use the mnemonic SADMAN, where the S is for medications called like Jardiance, which is dapagliflozin, Forxiga, or some other medication for diabetes. It will be best for you to check with your pharmacist to know that, okay, if I have diarrhea, is it okay to you take this medication or not? So these are the list of medication where if they have diarrhea or they're vomiting, they shouldn't take it during that period. And then once the vomiting has subsided, they're no more having diarrhea, and they're rehydrating themselves very well, then they can begin to use the medication. Okay. Most importantly, obviously, if you have diarrhea, dehydration is the most important thing. Make sure you're drinking. Obviously, the kind of water you should drink is very important, but rehydration is the key thing. And then, if after a few days you're still experiencing it, then you can now use the loperamide or the Imodium that you've got from in your pack. Okay. So if we go to the next slide, it's now, obviously, we've talked about things you should do to prevent you from falling ill, and and inshallah, Allah will protect us for all of those of us who are going to be traveling, and for those of us who are going to be here, Allah too is going to be protecting us. But if you do travel and you come back and you notice that you're experiencing fever, you're coughing, or while you're there, they tell you that you've had, they told you that while you're there that you've got high blood pressure or diabetes as a result of doing blood tests or anything, Then when you come back, it's very important for continuity of care to go and see your doctor. Don't brush it off that you're back in UK now and everything is going to be all right. It's always good to, kind of follow through and make sure that, whatever the situation, it's been monitored at least, the very least. If in a few weeks you notice that you're experiencing diarrhea, because obviously you might come back, begin to have diarrhea, that might pass after a few days. But if you notice it's persistent, then it's best you go to see your doctor. If you get something like jaundice is when you have like a yellow discoloration on your eyes, particularly for wee blacks. You probably won't be able to tell from the skin, but from the eyes and maybe looking at the finger, you might notice that it's yellow than normal. Then obviously you need to go and have that checked out. Or if you have any urinary infection or skin infection, it's best you see the doctor. And also, while you're there, you've had malaria. So it's always best when you come back to just come and make sure you're checked out. And then if you've stayed in abroad for over 3 months, it's always best when you come back to try and have a health check. I just wanted to check for the next slide. If there's any questions, any contributions, I'll be more than happy to answer questions.
Alhamdulillah, 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 Rabbil Alameen. Excellent. That is exactly 20 minutes. You didn't cross over at all. Thank you. And that I would say is illuminating and enriching because these are some of the things we take for granted. I'm traveling, I'm going for holiday, and you are just focused on what you're going to do when you're there, how you're going to enjoy. We don't sometimes do some risk analysis. Which country am I going to? Research it. Okay, as our pharmacist brother has shown us, there are websites where you can go and research. And as you are researching the good of where you're going, also research what are the negative side. What do you need to be prepared for? How do you keep yourself safe from the elements, from the weather? How do you keep yourself safe from security or insecure issues and places? And that's why the other website is there to tell you about terrorism, about gang and all that. So Islam requires us to make efforts on anything we are doing. Don't just walk blindly into things. Don't just walk into any situation. You must be able to do some risk analysis. You must be able to know what you are going to do if what happens. And that will include one of the topic my brother tried to speak on, and he didn't want to go into it, and that is health insurance or travel insurance. And this travel insurance especially, it is quite good. It is I've had to travel before. My mobile phones and things were broken because I fell from a bike, and I got back and I claimed it. That is for my personal belongings. What about for my health? What if something happens to me? I fall down, break my leg. What am I going to do? You have to think about all that. You have to think about making sure you keep your things safe. If you need an emergency travel, you get on the plane straight away, especially if you're a British citizen and you can come over. So this has been a very, very good session. You are opening our mind to a lot of things that we normally don't consider. So we'll take a break shortly. When we come back, I'm hoping there will be questions. Please feel free to ask questions relating to the topic or relating to health and well-being. I'm sure our brother is qualified to be able to give you some general advice. Of course, he cannot give specific advice about your medical situation. So you will need to go and see him or your doctor. So thank you very much for that, brother Abdul Fattah Popola. Inshallah, we'll come back to you shortly so that we'll come back and take some questions. Let's go for a short break.
is a masterpiece. The Visit My Mosque project breaks barriers. We take pride in the blend of our mosque users who cut across color, gender, age, and social differences. Academic, moral, and spiritual education is catered for at the Markaz. The 5 daily prayer, Jum'ah service, our healthy living, counseling, marriage, naming, and burial arrangements are top quality. The Old Kent Road Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center. Our faith in Allah and your great contributions can make the 6-story building a reality. Please donate and encourage others around you to donate towards the rebuilding of the house of Allah. May Allah bless you abundantly. Ameen.
Choose which space your bricks of barakah will build. Old Kent Road Mosque in the heart of London needs your urgent support. Donate your share now to invest in your akhirah, rebuild the house of Allah, and support our growing community. Phase 1 has been completed and £3 million is needed to complete the next phase. Stack your sadaqah with bricks of barakah. Donate today by visiting launchgood.com/bricks of barakah.
So thank you very much. We are back. As you know, I'm stepping in a very big shoes. That's definitely not my size. Stepping in for Professor Moshid Badering, who is unavoidably absent, caught up with work. We still expect him to join us anytime. Prof is the master of moderating, and he is also raised funds. I'm hoping we can do a little bit of fundraising today. I'm sure I probably may not be able to do as well as Professor Badering would have done, but I think we should give ourselves a try. So we have seen the advert on the mosque, and always we're asking you to contribute to the rebuilding of our mosque. Don't forget, it is our mosque. If you are a Nigerian and you live in the UK, this mosque is a pride for you. It is a pride for all of us. So it is coming to the end of the month. Salary will be in this week. Yeah. So you can make a promise. You can donate today towards the mosque. When we do the fundraising that we're starting now, you can donate towards the mosque, and we expect you to pay tomorrow or by Friday when your salary will be in. And for those who don't need to depend on salary, please feel free. Allah knows all of our conditions. Okay? Allah knows all of our conditions. If you bring it out and you give it purely for the sake of Allah, Allah knows. You know, you read a lot of hadith where the Prophet will say somebody did a single action and then Allah gave him Jannah. So actually, it means that sometimes it might just come down to one single action you perform in your life that is of utmost sincerity. And perhaps Allah might just use that to benefit you. So here we are building a mosque that will last 100 years or more, that there will be people praying there every day, 5 daily salat. And will it not be a thing of pride that you contribute to it? Will it not be a thing of pride that you didn't contribute once, twice, 10 times regularly? You are dipping your hand in your pocket and you are contributing to it. How will you feel in your grave? Okay, we are not all going to live forever. Another 20, 30, 40, 50 years, most of us will be under. And you are in your grave and people are praying and you are getting some little bits of barakah coming to you in your grave because you contributed to building a mosque and people are praying there. So I'm encouraging all of us, let us contribute to building our mosque. So today, let us raise some funds. So who is going to lead us in raising the fund? Who is going to be the first to contribute to this barakah campaign? Who is going to be the first of all those who are called, the Awalun, the group of first people who are going to be the group of first people to contribute to our fundraising today? Maybe I should start myself. So inshallah, £50 before Friday, inshallah. I'm contributing towards the rebuilding of our mosque today. £50. Sister Mariam?
Yeah. On behalf of myself and the Oasis Pharmacy, we'll donate £100.
Allahu Akbar. Our brother Abdul Fattah Popola, who is a member of MAN himself and leads on our medical activities, his pharmacy, and on behalf of himself and pharmacy, they are contributing £100. Takbir, Allahu Akbar. Sister Mariam has put £50 on the comment. Takbir, Allahu Akbar. That's £200 so quickly in 1 minute. Hey, we can do miracle today. So let me see if I can get the messages, but please feel free to unmute yourself while we are waiting to take questions. Unmute yourself. Let's contribute towards rebuilding our mosque.
There is a question.
Okay, I'm coming to the question. Is there anyone else who wants to contribute? Allah is calling you. Allah calls some people to go on Hajj every year. Today, Allah is calling us to contribute to the rebuilding of our mosque. I have the hands up there. Sister Mulkat.
Ibrahim Ade will say £20, inshallah.
Allahu Akbar. Alhaji Adeusi, £20. Sister Mulkat, you have your hands up.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
£50.
£50, takbir. That's £270 so far. I've got Alhaji Abdul Razak Salahuddin's hand up. Bismillah. Alhaji Salahuddin is on the attendance. Can
If
you
you unmute yourself, sir. Please unmute.
Salamun alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
£100, please.
Takbir, £100. Allahu Akbar. Is somebody keeping a track of these? So we had 270 plus 100, 370.
I want to also, I know Ayashams has contributed £50. There's a special announcement which we make regarding Ayashams. And for that special announcement, I'm going to donate £20 to say
Allahu Akbar.
I'm sure
that's a special announcement on Ayashams. Okay, good. So that's £390. Quickly, any more contribution? Hands up there again. Any more? Okay. Please, if you have contribution, please put it in the notes, in the chat. Brother Olushola Fashino from Wales, thank you very much. That's £50. That's £440 so far. Barakallahu fiqh. May Allah reward you all. Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. There's an Alhaji iPhone.
Alhaji Akonde, not iPhone, sorry.
Alhaji Mustafa Akonde.
On behalf of the new baby, £50.
Takbir, Allahu Akbar. May Allah bless the baby and grant the baby barakah of your donation. May this
baby. Nima is her name.
Sorry, what's her name?
Nima.
Nima. May Allah make her everybody around her. May Allah make her a favor for the community, a blessing for the community. Thank you very much. That's £490. And may Allah
Salam alaikum.
On behalf of Nima and use it to bless the future of Nima in this dunya and in the akhirah. Thank you very much.
Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.
Sharifat Ibrahim, £50, please, on behalf of my family.
Alhaja Sharifat Ibrahim, thank you very much. That's £540. May Allah bless you and your family for the donation. Thank you. Any more contributions? Okay, let's take the question.
We still have the president's hands up.
Oh, the president, I couldn't see your hands.
Yeah.
Bismillah. So from 540, where are you taking this campaign?
£50 from my dad and then £20 from me, inshallah.
£50 from your dad?
Yeah.
Allahu Akbar. And 20 from you. You don't want to
yeah.
to pay more than your dad. I see the
But,
politics. Or you do it secretly, inshallah. So
inshallah.
that's 70 pounds plus 540 pounds. That's 610 pounds. Yeah, 610 pounds. Takbir, Allahu Akbar. That we are contributing, at least today, we'll be contributing to a SAFU. If we get to 1,000 pounds, that is a prayer spot. We will be, Allah will know the prayer spot for the one we contribute today, and people praying on that prayer spot, all of us will get the barakah, inshallah, bi qudratullah. Thank you very much, everybody, for your contribution. 610 pounds so far. Please keep the donation coming while we quickly go on to questions and answer. So let's take the question, please.
Yeah. So we've got a question here. It's quite long. It said, we've heard about people travel home and fall ill and die whilst there. Many times these are associated with spiritual attacks. For people traveling from Western world to Africa, is there a higher level of vulnerability to illnesses like malaria? And if so, how important would you say taking anti-malaria immunization is for those of us in diaspora whenever we travel home on holidays? Yeah, that's...
Okay, thank you, Brother Abdul Fattah. Did you get the question? You can ignore the first part of the question that talks about spiritual attack. The most important question for you, for your professional clinical advice, is about the importance of people taking anti-malaria from this part of the country. How really seriously vulnerable are we? Because let me just add to that. Some of us feel that we've lived half of our life in Nigeria, and therefore, what's the big deal after staying there for 10, 20, 25 years? I'm still in Nigeria. My body is still Nigeria. In fact, my body was cooked in Nigeria. So there's no issue for me going back to Nigeria. Can you address that point for us, please?
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, in terms of, I mean, I know the first part of the question is a bit, but I mean, this is just my own personal opinion that, obviously Allah, if something's going to happen, it's always in Allah's hands, but we have to take our own steps to ensure that we kind of protect ourselves. In terms of obviously the Islamic teachings and everything, in terms of, I don't know, I'm not an Afa. I would say, okay, spiritual attack is real or not. But I just believe that if we do all we need to do in terms of protecting ourselves, being prayerful and all that, one shouldn't worry too much about spiritual attack because that could lead to you being psychologically affected. So that way you don't have confidence to do things. It will raise your anxiety levels. And then when you travel, that could lead to other long-term conditions. So basically try and put your mind at rest and place everything in Allah's hand. But in saying that, if you're traveling as we like brothers Ajishams mentioned earlier, our body is not the same. You've stayed here, even if you've lived there for like at least 2 years, you're more like your body's like British basically. By the time you go back, the mosquitoes they can tell the difference. So there is no discrimination, and unfortunately, we are fresher. So in that sense, you have to protect yourself. And then we are more vulnerable because our body is not used to exposures to bacterial infections and because in Nigeria and Africa generally, there's high risk of bacterials and in other pathogen parasites and all that. People who are there, they've developed immunity over the years while they are there. And the moment you leave that area for more than 2, 3 years, that immunity kind of diminishes. So we are more vulnerable. So the more reason why, if you're traveling to those areas, you need to take precaution by taking, if it's for malaria, against malaria, you need to take your anti-malaria as prescribed before you go in. So that while you're there, you can have a safe trip. You don't need to worry about mosquitoes. Because no matter what, you're probably going to get bitten by mosquito, especially during this period, because it's the season. During the Harmattan, December, it's not as bad because there's not much rainfall. The accumulation of mosquito would be less. But during the rainy season, it's quite it's more prevalent. So one is prone to more infection and likely to get malaria if you do go without protecting yourself. Just like that.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. I've got hand raised, Aja Mulkat Ibrahim. Aja Ayashams, Bismillah, please unmute yourself. Your hand is raised.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I just wanted to make a little contribution towards that question that was asked. Allah tells us in the Quran that no man knows the land in which they are going to die. Now, so we travel to Nigeria and people fall sick and they die. Let's look at it in this other way. What if people go to Umrah, they go there, they go for Hajj, they also die there? What is the difference in that? Why is it not by spiritual attack? So it is something that has to do with our mind, our way of thinking. So inshallah, I'm just trying to say that we need to step back from that, because you see, whatever Allah has decreed will happen. We can fall ill, we can take all the protection, inoculation, or whatever it is we're meant to take to, to look after ourselves. Because in the Sharia, in the maqasid of the Sharia, it's the first maqasid is preservation of life. So we can take all the steps to preserve our lives, to ensure that everything we do is halal and tayyiban. But we cannot tie going to our country and falling ill and then dying to spiritual attack all the time. And I only say this because I've heard it a lot in recent times, and I think it is important that we try to debunk it and try to. I mean, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet sallallahu was there was, I mean, somebody fed him, he was poisoned, but he was aware and he gave us Mozartain. But whatever is going to happen to us will happen, and the Quran, Allah has told us in the Quran that no man knows the land in which he will die. People have come here, may Allah forgive them. Somebody who came from Nigeria to study, and the day he got here, the following day he died. Would we say that it was, I mean, what was happening to him? So we don't know. So it's always good for us to, inshallah, try to, step down or cut back from this kind of, if we continue to dwell on it, it can become something bigger. And before we do it, it can lead to shirk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for that contribution. I was trying for us to avoid it, but I think Brother Abdul Fattah touching on it, and then Ajia Mulka also touching on it, I think it resolved the issue. And I'm thankful and grateful to you guys, to you for attending to that question the way you have attended to it. Okay, so any more question? Any other question? On staying well, staying safe while on holidays, especially this summer. Okay.
Salam alaikum. Do you mind if I just, for those who are going to be staycating, so those that are not traveling, I don't know, for people, especially if they're elderly and vulnerable, for those who don't know, there's the well-being outreach team. So, if you need support with whatever the health situation is, you can always reach out to us, and then we'll always try and find a way of helping you. Even if it's something we cannot handle, we would refer you to the right people that would be able to assist. So it's just for everyone to be aware of that there's the well-being outreach team there that would help. So exactly.
Thank you very much for reminding us that MAN, Muslim Association of Nigeria, they have a well-being and outreach team for anyone who feels that they might need it, especially during this summer period. Please contact them. I was going to ask our brother, we make preparation when we are traveling. You have mentioned that people who have specific medical condition should make certain preparation about their drugs, and if they should have the sort of drugs they shouldn't use. One of the things that we don't often do is carrying a first aid pack. So for people who don't have medical condition, who probably don't ever think of carrying anything, do you advise that they have some first aid pack that they carry in their luggage? If so, what are some of these that might be essential for a travel outside of one's domain outside of your country?
Yes, yeah, I think maybe I skipped it on my slide. I did mention there's first aid pack there, but I didn't emphasize on it. So yeah, in the pharmacy, you can always find a small pack of first aid pack in case you get injured, and that will have things like bandages, plasters, uh, the tunic in case you get a bite or it will break your hands or something like that. Then also things like paracetamol, painkillers, ibuprofen, even if it's just a small pack, that would be handy. Some antihistamine, I mentioned that earlier. Yeah, that's the slide. Thank you. Some antihistamine, the anti-sand cream, the sunscreen lotion. If you're going to be staying under the sun for a long period, I think it's best you apply that. It's not just for the white people. Um, Oral rehydration therapy. I say if you're not buying anything, I think you should buy that, because in case of dehydration, in case you get vomiting or diarrhea, that is very, very essential. If you have a condition or you don't have a condition, very essential. You can also get some anti-sickness tablets like Quells, and then insect repellents. I'd say those are the key things that you need. But everyone's need is different. So, you know, it's always best, like I said, to speak to someone at the travel clinic if they need further advice, if we haven't covered all their needs.
Thank you very much for that. Any other question? Okay, so we'll be rounding up. Today we have raised £610 so far. Before we do the OU believe for today, I want to thank my brother, brother Abdul Fattah Popola. Do you have any final rounding up comments?
I mean, it's an honor to be invited to kind of share my experience with the group, and it's always one of my passion to try and promote good health in our community. And it's not just for the here and now, it's also for us to have a prolonged, healthy life. May Allah accept all our prayers and continue to guide and protect us. Jazakallah.
Thank you very much. Barakallah Fiqh. May Allah reward you abundantly for coming in today to share your knowledge, to task us and help us. I'm sure people would have picked up one or two things that will be useful for them going forward. May Allah bless you with that. Let us recite Surah Al-Ikhlas for you for that. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna a'tayna Wallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. May Allah bless you with the reward for reciting that. I also want to use this opportunity to thank all of those who have donated money today. Allah knows you, Allah knows your condition, and Allah knows your intention. One of the donors today, Brother Fashino, he has just finished, is graduating tomorrow, 25th. Yeah, I remember. 25th tomorrow, he will be graduating from his university. May Allah put barakah in that for you, and all of those who are graduating this season as well. May Allah bless you all. May Allah grant success to your achievement. May Allah make this the stepping stone for more achievement for you all, and for every one of us who have children, relatives, friends graduating. So may Allah bless them all for us. Thank you very much for your participation today. Our OU believe today, I'll just say, is we should stick to Quran chapter 66, verse 6, where Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ku anfusakum wa ahlikum nar wal waqudu an-nar wal hijara alaykum malaikat, etc. Allah says, oh, you who believe, fear Allah and save yourself and your family from a fire whose fuel is men and stone. And that is that we take precautions in our dunya so that we will be safe in the akhirah, not just for ourselves, also for all of our families. Thank you very much, Barakallah Fiqh. I will hand over to Sister Mariam. Before I do that, may Allah bless Professor Moshood Baderi and return him to us, inshallah, next week to take his position so that he can save me from this kind of stress that he has put me today. Thank you all for supporting me today. May Allah bless you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his blessings over our lives, and we appreciate the contributions of our guest speaker, Brother Fatai Popola, and we thank Brother Shams as well for taking us, moderating the session for today. We have now come to the end of today's session, and I leave you all in the care of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum.
Support our growing community. Phase 1 has been completed and £3 million is needed to complete the next phase. Stack your sadaqah with Bricks of Barakah. Donate today by visiting launchgood.com/Bricks of Barakah.
هل لك سر عند الله بينك أنت وبين الله هل لك صدقات تخفى لا يعلمها إلا الله قصص لا تكشف إلا بكتابك حين ترى الله ما أحراك بهذا أن يكبر قدرك عند الله
يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا.
Thank you very much, everybody. Inshallah, I'll see you next week.